Hi everyone, welcome to your May 2023 horoscopes. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering the major astrological events for the month ahead. Specifically speaking, I'll be focusing on the full moon eclipse in Scorpio on the 5th of May, as well as Jupiter entering the sign of Taurus for the first time in about 12 years. We'll have a look at the new moon in Taurus, and we're also going to touch on the Mercury retrograde in Taurus, which is happening right now. So I hope that you guys have a lot of patience with this live stream. We never know what can happen during a Mercury retrograde. But lastly, I'm going to finish up with the Mars entering Leo transit. So I will be going through the horoscopes for all 12 zodiac signs. After the live stream, I will be putting out some timestamps, but please feel free to help me out with those in the comment section below. And also, this is a Western tropical astrology reading, and I will be using the whole sign system. And lastly, just a little note that between eclipses, which means that your sleep patterns and cycles may be disturbed, especially if you've got young children. You may find that their sleeping habits are maybe regressing at this point in time, and also you may be experiencing heightened emotions. This can start to taper off from about mid to late May. Now, lastly, you can watch this horoscope for your rising sun or moon sign. The distinction between the three is that, generally speaking, the rising sign, which is also known as the ascendant sign, will be the most accurate for you overall. And if you are watching for your sun sign, this will pertain more to your career and your life goals and your creative self-expression. If you're watching for your moon sign, you can apply this information to your family life, home life, relationships, as well as property and living circumstances. If I were you, I'd be watching all three. And before I get into Aries, I always forget to say this, but please give the video a like if you enjoy it, and please subscribe to the channel if you want to receive regular updates. And I do these horoscopes monthly. So without further ado, let's have a look at Aries. So this is for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Risings. For you guys, the full moon eclipse will be taking place in Scorpio in your 8th house, and this will be on the 5th of May. So, full moon eclipses, also known as lunar eclipses, are all about reaching the end of a cycle or a situation reaching its peak. Now, even though Scorpio is not making a direct aspect to you, I would argue that this will have more of an impact on you than the other signs, unless you're a fixed sign, because Mars rules over Scorpio and Mars is your chart ruler. So when you experience eclipses in Scorpio as an Aries, they would impact you more than your average eclipse. With a full moon eclipse taking place in your 8th house, this can see there being some sort of chapter coming to a close with respect to your mutual resources. So this could be property that you own with another person, joint bank accounts, joint business ventures or investments. If you, let's say, contribute financially to other people, that may be changing in a significant way for you, but also the shoe may be on the other foot. And by that, I mean that maybe you contribute, I don't know, $100 a week to your parents' mortgage. Maybe you're going to be cutting that off, or you could be, maybe the mortgage is paid off. And if you receive financial support from another person, that could be shifting in a big way. It doesn't mean that it has to come to a close altogether. For some of you, this could even be receiving like a lump sum payment. On a different level, the 8th house is associated with intimacy, vulnerability, fears, addictions, and sex. So you could be having a really big epiphany with respect to one or more of these areas. And this could take you by surprise. Maybe you discover a secret about another person, which could be quite shocking because it is a Scorpio eclipse, which is opposite Uranus. On a different note, though, you may be speaking your truth about something that you've been keeping inside, and maybe this is a secret that you've been holding on to and you finally feel like it's time to reveal this. Lastly, with this eclipse, and obviously there's a lot of different ways it can play out, but another big one is that it's related to addictions and healing. So for some of you, you may be overcoming some kind of addiction, but also there could be some kind of, let's say, trigger for a fear which bubbles up. So this may really be pushing you to address any unresolved fears. And this is a huge opportunity for healing. And that could be that some of you are having some sort of surgery or procedure, or maybe you are seeking out some kind of alternative healing practice. And this could alleviate a lot of fears, or let's say stress or trauma, which is trapped in the emotional body. So until the 14th of May, we will still be in Mercury retrograde. So Mercury is presently retrograde in the sign of Taurus. So this is occurring in your second house. I'm not going to go into too much detail for this horoscope with respect to the Mercury retrograde, because I did cover it in a lot of detail in my April horoscopes. So you can go and check out my April horoscopes if you want to get the full rundown. Nevertheless, with Mercury being retrograde in your second house, this can indicate that there is a really big focus for you on reorganizing your finances and your resources. Maybe you are analyzing your budgeting system or what your expenses are. The second house is also associated with diet, so you could be changing up your eating habits, or you could be returning to a former diet. So for example, maybe you used to be a vegetarian and maybe you're going back to that now. Lastly, possessions can be returned to you. If you'd lost a valuable or possession, you could rediscover it. And you may be changing up your wardrobe and how you are dressing. So I am still on Aries for those of you who are watching this live. Now, on the 16th of May, Jupiter is going to enter the sign of Taurus. And this is the first time Jupiter's been in Taurus in about 12 years. And every time Jupiter changes signs, we do feel it, no matter what sign you are. First of all, Jupiter is not your ruling sign, and this is not making a major aspect to you, but it is leaving your sign. Okay, so Jupiter has been in Aries for about 11 or 12 months, although it did dip in and out of Pisces. So now that we're getting to Jupiter leaving Aries, I expect that many of you Aries individuals will have undergone some kind of transformation over the last 12 months or so when it comes to confidence, your sense of adventure, feeling more energetic, more motivated. Maybe you had opportunities to travel or to learn something new or to teach, and you could have really changed your whole belief systems when it comes to how you view the world. So wherever Jupiter transits, this is where we are going to be educating ourselves and really getting a lot of hands-on experience. So with Jupiter being in your second house, this can see you learning about finances and resources. So this can be to do with money management, saving money, maybe the value of certain for want of a better term, valuables or possessions, because the second house rules over that. Maybe you'll start collecting something new. The second house rules over the five senses, as well as food, cooking, gardening, farming, wine, perfume, scents, as well as fashion, retail, and makeup and hair and beauty. So some of you may decide that you want to educate yourself in one or more of these areas, and you could experience a big increase in your finances and resources. You could be earning more money, and the ways in which you could be earning more money could be related to ninth house matters or 12th house matters, because Jupiter rules over the ninth and the 12th house. So this could be to do with import and export, travel and tourism, international relations, teaching, the law. Maybe you're receiving some sort of payout from a court case. And also This could be earning money through divinatory practices like tarot, anything spiritual in nature, the music industry, yoga, meditation, the hotel industry. These are all things that the 12th house rules over. And certainly anything Taurine in nature could help you to increase your finances and resources. So maybe you'll be generating more income or a new stream of income through your involvement in finances, cooking, Taurine stuff, gardening, farming, and certainly a lot of you will be focusing on growing your own produce or educating yourself about your food and diet, your diet. I digress. So, on the 19th of May, there will be a new moon in Taurus, and this will be at 28 degrees in your second house. So, what I love about this new moon is that Jupiter will be in Taurus already by this stage because it's just a few days later. So, I think that there is some sort of potent new beginning or new chapter with respect to those second house matters that I've just mentioned. So, again, finances, resources, gardening, cooking, the five senses, anything that I've just mentioned with Jupiter being in Taurus in your second house, you can apply that to this new moon and a new chapter starting there afresh. So lastly, for the month, on the 20th of May, which is the day before my birthday, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo, and it will be transiting Leo in your fifth house for 7 weeks until the 10th of July. Mars is your ruling planet, so wherever Mars goes, whatever it is doing, this represents you as an Aries and where you are placing your focus and attention. So the fifth house is one of the funnest houses in astrology because it rules over creativity, romance, dating, performance, hobbies, passions, owning your own business, and children as well. So you may be wanting to start your own business. If you own your own business, you may be working on new services or products, or you could just be putting a lot of energy and effort into that. The fifth house also rules over sports. So some of you may be getting really active during this period of time. You may put yourself out there when it comes to dating. Mars through the fifth house is like a very, let's say, positive energy for romance, dating, and your sex life as well. So there may be lots of dates that you're going on, or maybe you're putting a lot of energy and attention into your relationship if you're already in a romantic connection. Some of you may decide that you want to start trying to have a family, start a family, or expand your family. Worst case scenario, Mars in the fifth house can indicate arguing with your children or having some difficulties there. Maybe they're being a bit more rebellious or playing up. And, maybe there is a little bit of, let's say, bickering between you and your partner. But because Mars is your ruling planet and it's making a trine to you as an Aries sun, moon, or rising, I would say this is more about the good stuff rather than being at loggerheads with your children or with your partner. And that's about it for Aries. So I'm going to move on to Taurus, sun, moon, or risings, and risings. First of all, happy Taurus season to my fellow Taurians. I myself am a Taurus sun. I'm born at the last moment of Taurus, and I'm a bit biased. I love doing the Taurus reading. Anyway, before I begin, let me just take this tea bag out because this has been brewing for way too long. If you are a Taurus, give me a shout out in the comment section below. Let me know when your birthday is. Are there any 21st of May born Taurians? Birthday twins? Okay, let's get into it. So on the 5th of May, there will be a full moon eclipse in Scorpio, and this will be at 14 degrees in your 7th house. So whether you're a Taurus sun, moon, or rising, you will be feeling this eclipse just because Scorpio is the sister sign to Taurus. So this eclipse is on the same axis as Taurus. And basically, this is indicating that there's a change with respect to one or more of your personal relationships. So a full moon eclipse in the seventh house can impact romantic relationships, business partnerships, client relationships, as well as contracts, because the seventh house is very much associated with contracts, as well as, did I say like friendships? If I didn't, it can also impact friendships. So with a full moon eclipse in Scorpio in the seventh house, worst case scenario is that there could be somewhat of a dramatic end to a connection with another person or with a contract. So maybe this comes out of the blue and you weren't expecting it. Maybe there's a fallout that takes place. It doesn't necessarily need to mean that the relationship is over. With a full moon eclipse in Scorpio, it could just be that um, you and the other individual are putting your cards out on the table, right? Where it's like things that have been suppressed and kept underneath the surface for a long time reach boiling point, and then it's like boom, all of a sudden, you're speaking your mind and getting things off your chest that you haven't spoken about in such a raw way. Now, the Taurians who will be the most affected would be those around 14 degrees plus or minus 5 degrees. So that would be 9-degree Taurians up to 19 degrees. Nevertheless, I do think that this would impact Taurians no matter what degree you are. If you're a Taurus moon, this could be impacting your living circumstances because the moon rules over property. So maybe you are going to be um, moving out somewhere, moving out of where you currently live. Maybe someone will be moving in with you. Maybe someone will move out of your home. You could decide to sell your property, or this could affect your relationship dynamics, especially with your significant other. For some of you, you could actually be getting into a relationship because lunar eclipses or full moon eclipses can be about a situation reaching some kind of culmination point, especially if there's been, let's say, a lack of clarity about where you and another person stand. This can be the both of you getting on even footing. Now, if you're a Taurus sun, this could be you fulfilling some kind of contractual relationship. Maybe you are letting someone go with respect to a business partner, or maybe you're no longer going to be working with a certain client. This could be an opportunity for you to land an important deal, especially because 14 degrees is the Taurian degree. So this could be associated with finances and resources. And if you're a Taurus rising, this could impact you on all of those aforementioned areas because the rising sign horoscope will, generally speaking, be the most accurate overall. Now, Mercury will be retrograde in Taurus until the 14th of May. So it's from the 21st of April through till the 14th of May. As you are watching this horoscope, Mercury is currently retrograde in your sign, and Mercury will be retrograde from 15 degrees back to 5 degrees Taurus, which means that the Taurians who will be the most impacted by the Mercury retrograde would be those between 5 and 15 degrees. So with Mercury retrograde in the first house, you may be changing up your appearance, rethinking your path in life and your choices, especially if these are concerning your finances, your valuables, and your resources, because Mercury rules over the second house, but also Mercury rules over the fifth house. So you could be having important discussions about children or about your business. If you own your own business, maybe you're making decisions about what to do with your business. You could be changing up the aesthetic or changing up the services that you offer and the products that you sell, or just the nature of it in general. And also, this would very much be a big moment for Taurians to consider who they're dating, their sex life, their romantic life. Maybe you're getting back out there on the dating horse, let's say, because Mercury rules over the fifth house. Or some of you may be having contact with an ex. Maybe you're hearing back from them. Maybe you're the one reaching out. And like I said, Mercury will be retrograde until the 14th of May, but there's a 2-week post-shadow period. So honestly, it won't be till the end of May, until things sort of go back to normal and the whole Mercury retrograde energy can dissipate. And of course, that is when the eclipse season energy will start to taper off as well. So, in a nutshell, things may be quite all over the place, I want to say, for Taurians for the month of May. So don't sweat the small stuff. It's still your season until about the 21st of May. So with it being Taurus season and with Jupiter entering Taurus on the 16th of May, you guys are just going to be feeling amazing. And with that being said, let's move into that transit. So Jupiter will enter the sign of Taurus on the 16th of May. It hasn't been there for 12 years, and Jupiter will be in Taurus until late May in 2024. During 2023, Jupiter will only traverse the signs of 0 to 15 degrees Taurus. So if you're 0 to 15, you're going to feel the benefits of Jupiter in Taurus this year. If you're 16 to 29 degrees Taurus, you're going to feel it from let's say in the second half of 2024. Nevertheless, with Jupiter entering our sign, first of all, yay, I'm so excited for this. This can indicate there being travel opportunities. I myself will be spending some time overseas from June, and this is going to be all over my Taurus sun, which I'm excited about. Jupiter rules over travel, education, adventure, higher learning, your belief systems, the law, and also publishing. Okay, so this can see you having travel opportunities, maybe spending time with people of a different cultural background. You could be meeting a lot of foreigners. You could be learning other languages. I personally am going to be focusing a lot of attention on taking up Greek, because for those of you who don't know, I am half Greek. And also, if you used to learn a language and you haven't really practiced that language, you may be revisiting that. So as a personal example, I learned French for 8 years at school, and I'll be going to France in a few months, and I'll be able to utilize that again. So maybe you'll be revisiting languages that you used to learn. Now, Jupiter going through your sign can see you feeling more confident. You can have more adventure in your life, and maybe there's just opportunities for you to expand your worldview. You may become more philosophical. You may be interested in politics. You may be dealing with legal matters. And personally speaking, there's a couple of legal things that I'm going to be dealing with, so I can see how this is going to be playing out for me. And on a different note, you may just have more energy, more vitality. You may even be getting published, okay, if you're a writer, or if you put work out there in the public domain, this can reach a much wider audience. So hopefully my own YouTube channel and business takes off. Again, if you are enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe to the channel and see more content, please do so. Shameless self-promotion there. Now, on a different note, you can become more spiritual. And also, if you have been quite attached to certain belief systems, this can see you deprogramming yourself from those, especially if you were raised in a very religious household and you want to sort of make a bit of a departure from that belief system. Or some of you may be converting religions or becoming more devout in whatever religion you practice, because Jupiter rules over religions. So obviously it could swing in either direction. It just depends on your own personal chart. And Jupiter being in your 12th house is going to fill Taurians with a renewed sense of optimism, because Jupiter rules over optimism and our vision for the future. And it is associated with prophetic abilities as well. So there may be an opportunity for you to really delve into this spiritual and even psychic side, especially because Jupiter rules over your 8th house, which is associated with the occult and esoteric topics. So on the 19th of May, there will be a new moon in Taurus. at 28 degrees. So this is a new start and a new chapter for Taurians. And every year, when there's a new moon in Taurus, this is like a chance to plant new seeds and decide what it is that you want to attract into your life or manifest into your life. Now, on the 20th of May, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo, and it will be transiting your fourth house. And that will be for 7 weeks until the 10th of July. Now, wherever Mars goes, this is where we're putting a lot of energy and attention into those matters, or into that domain, let's say. And it can also indicate there being tension or some kind of discord, or something that we need to deal with, because Mars represents a challenge. So on one hand, there may be challenging circumstances that arise with Mars being in your fourth house, but a way to mitigate this is to set new goals, or commit to your own challenge in this department. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So the fourth house rules over property, living circumstances. The fourth house rules over our family, our home life. It rules over our parents, especially the mother figure, and it also rules over very young children or the elderly. So essentially, anyone who needs nurturing or who cannot care for themselves. Now, with Mars being in the fourth house, there may be things around the home that are breaking down that you need to repair. So don't be surprised if the dishwasher goes, or if you need to get an electrician in. With respect to this, I would say set new goals, set challenges for yourself with Mars in the fourth house. Maybe start renovating something, do a DIY project, work in the garage, do some, let's say, gardening, which requires a lot of physical effort, because that way you're harnessing the energy of Mars being in your fourth house, and you can sort of steer it in the direction that you want, rather than have it play out as you arguing with your parents or people in your family or people that you live with. With Mars in the fourth house, some of you may be simply seeking out your next residence. Maybe you are putting your house up for sale, maybe you're cleaning it up, maybe you are seeking out a new lease or looking for tenants, maybe you're getting into farming. The fourth house and the second house are both associated with farming, so mm, focusing on those areas could be a way to utilize that energy. And that's it for you guys for May. So if you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. And now I'm going to be moving on to Gemini. Okay, so Gemini sun, moon, or risings. First of all, I'm a fellow Gemini. I'm a Gemini rising, not a Gemini sun. So welcome to one of my fave horoscopes that I love doing every month. Now, on the 5th of May, the full moon eclipse is going to occur in Scorpio in your sixth house. So full moon eclipses or lunar eclipses are all about a chapter reaching some kind of peak or culmination point. Worst case scenario is that there could be some kind of crisis that occurs here in your sixth house. But with full moon eclipses in the sixth house, I find them to be quite cathartic, let's say, because the sixth house rules over conflict and things that are out of order that we need to attend to. It rules over our work life, it rules over health, and a full moon eclipse in the sixth house can see you finally removing some kind of situation from your life, or maybe even a relationship from your life, which was quite toxic to you, especially because it's in the sign of Scorpio. So maybe you are basically cutting someone out from your life. You may be letting someone go if you own your own business and you have employees, because the sixth house rules over your employees. The sixth house also rules over your day-to-day work habits and work processes. So if there are work systems that are no longer working for you, pardon the pun, you may decide to alter that. Maybe you're letting go of certain practices which are just slowing you down. Some of you could actually have an epiphany about your work and what it is that you want to be doing. So, what is or is not in alignment with you. Look, I don't mind a Scorpio eclipse from that perspective, where it helps us to identify the dead weight, because Scorpio rules over excretion. So it's about excreting or doing away or purging what no longer serves us. So this can see you having some kind of breakthrough with work, or maybe you're discovering the root cause of some kind of health ailment. And the sixth house rules over loans. And because this full moon eclipse is at 14 degrees, which is the Taurus degree, there is some sort of financial element here. And Scorpio itself is associated with mutual resources. So, really, this could see you actually paying off a loan, because the sixth house rules over loans, or maybe you are receiving money that you didn't think was going to be coming your way if you had loaned someone else money. And lastly, with the full moon in the sixth house, this can see you having some kind of realization about your work and what would be your dream job. Okay, now looking at the Mercury retrograde. So, Mercury is retrograde in Taurus in your 12th house from the 21st of April through till the 14th of May. Because Mercury is your ruling planet, you will always be, we will always be affected by Mercury retrogrades, no matter what sign the retrograde is in. But because this one is in the 12th house, it can have more of an internal impact on you, because the 12th house is very hidden. People can't see what you're doing. And even Mercury in the 12th house is indicative of you being more introspective, going within. The 12th house is associated with yoga, meditation, inspiration. It is one of the creative houses, and it is also associated with spirituality and divination, and also self-sabotaging behavior and escapism. So, just to touch on a few points, you may be returning to yoga or a meditation practice. You may revisit a creative project which you haven't touched for a while, or you could be in the editing phase of that. You could go back to see your favorite tarot reader or astrologer, or Reiki practitioner. You could have some kind of realization when it comes to behavior which is self-sabotaging in nature, or maybe you've been procrastinating. And also, because the 12th house rules over escapism, maybe you understand the ways in which you have been trying to run away from certain topics or matters that really need your attention, and you can sort of have a breakthrough when it comes to overcoming these escapist tendencies, if you have them. Not everyone's going to have them, but most Geminis I know, myself included, have a little bit of an issue, or a lot of an issue with procrastination. Now, on the 16th of May, Jupiter is going to enter the sign of Taurus. So, with Jupiter entering Taurus in your 12th house for the first time in 11 or 12 years, this can see you focusing on spirituality and occult practices, yoga, meditation, anything creative in nature. The 12th house is also one of the foreign houses. And of course, Jupiter rules over foreign countries and travel. So, Geminis, with Jupiter in your 12th house for a year until May 2024, you may be educating yourself on these matters. So maybe you want to do a deep dive into learning more about yoga or astrology or tarot, or maybe you're going to finally start teaching in one of these areas, because Jupiter rules over education, but it's like the mentor and the mentee. So Jupiter represents both sides of the coin. Just as an example, for how this is playing out for me, one of the ways in which it's playing out for me, I've recently gotten into yoga, and I really love it. And I can see myself learning a lot more about yoga and taking this up in a more dedicated and devoted way. But also, Jupiter being in the 12th house and there being a connection to astrology here indicates, sort of is in alignment with my desire to finally teach astrology. And yes, I know I've been talking about this for over a year now, but what can I say? I'm a Gemini rising, so I've been procrastinating on this a little bit. I digress. With Jupiter ruling over your 10th house, this is somehow indicative of what you learn with Jupiter being in your 12th house being something that supports your career, because Jupiter ruling over the 10th house is associated with your career. Okay, bonus points if you are a Gemini sun, and bonus points if you are a Gemini rising with a Pisces midheaven. On a different note, this can see you requiring a lot more sleep, because the 12th house is associated with sleep, or maybe you are educating yourself about altered states when it comes to meditation. And the 12th house also rules over large expenses. So there may be some large financial expenses that you are making. And for some of you, this could be investing in your career, because Jupiter rules over the 10th house. So this is like you spending on your career. Also, there are opportunities here to travel to far and far away places, which, as I mentioned in my Taurus horoscope, I'm going to be doing a lot of travel this year. So there are big opportunities for you guys to travel, specifically to places that are kind of like a culture shock from where you've come from, or just like a far and far away country. So what I mean by that is the 12th house would not apply to, let's say, Americans who are traveling to Canada, or Australians who are traveling to New Zealand, because that's sort of like, almost neighboring, if not actually neighboring. Now, lastly, even though I could go on about this transit for ages, Jupiter rules over your 7th house, which represents your personal relationships. So when the ruler of the 7th house goes in the 12th house, this can indicate ending an important personal relationship that you have with another person. Just remember that Jupiter is going to bring through some kind of blessing to the house that it is transiting, and you may not actually experience the full benefit of the Jupiter transit until after Jupiter has been through that house, which again would be May 2024. But essentially, you guys as Geminis are going to be learning a lot more about spirituality and the benefits of being introspective and going within. And this is also an excellent transit for anyone who works in the spiritual industry, music industry, pharmaceutical industry, as well as hotels, retreats, bed and breakfasts, and so on and so forth. So on the 19th of May, there is going to be a new moon in Taurus at 28 degrees in your 12th house. So all those topics that I just touched on with Jupiter being in Taurus, in your 12th house, you can apply this to the new moon. So there is some definitive new chapter that is starting with respect to spirituality, yoga, meditation, music, understanding yourself at a psychological level, or yeah, I'm not going to touch on all of it again. But lastly, there may be a big purchase that you're making with the new moon in Taurus, plus or minus a couple of weeks. Now, the last transit I'm going to look at for Geminis is Mars entering the sign of Leo. So this will take place on the 20th of May, and Mars will be in your 3rd house for 7 weeks, and it'll be there until the 10th of July. So wherever Mars goes, this is where we're placing a lot of our energy and attention and putting a lot of personal effort into those matters. The 3rd house is associated with education, but more like short courses and training and personal development, rather than the 9th house, which is more like college, university, masters, and degrees. Nevertheless, the 3rd house also rules over communications. It rules over working in small groups and teams. It represents co-workers, siblings, and relatives, as well as short-term travel and sales and commerce. So you may be committing to a short education program. You may be the one who is developing one for yourself. So maybe this is part of your work. This is a transit where you can be bickering or arguing with siblings, relatives, friends, or co-workers. The best case scenario is that you are um, working collaboratively in a team effort on a new challenge, because it's sort of like coming together with the third house, and Mars rules over challenges and setting goals. So it would be best if you decide to work on something with other people, so that it doesn't manifest as you sort of butting heads with other people. You may be working on developing a new website or innovating something new, or a new communications piece. And I would highly recommend it if you guys are wanting to learn something new, if you're wanting to start training or train other people, or if you are wanting to, um, let's say, write a book or start a YouTube channel. Mars rules over the 11th house, so this is quite positive for efforts put towards social media. And just lastly, as a little bit of a heads up, Mars in the third house can indicate the breakdown of vehicles. So I would recommend, if it's time that you get your car serviced, that you look at that, maybe just do some routine maintenance, and just be careful not to damage your devices, so technological devices. So just be careful with like phones and tablets and computers, that you're not um, being clumsy with those and breaking them. Okay, so now let's have a look at Cancer. But first, tea time. I'm excuse me, quite surprised that I'm 40 minutes in and I'm not even up to the fourth sign. Whoops. I'm going to try and speed these up a little bit. So, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Risings. This full moon eclipse in Scorpio is taking place in your fifth house at 14 degrees. So, first of all, this eclipse is trining you, and this is very, very positive for Cancers, because you guys, more than any other sign, are impacted by full moon eclipses. Well, let's just say full moons and new moons, but especially full moons, because you're ruled by the moon. So it doesn't actually matter what sign the eclipse is in or what sign the full moon is in. You guys will be feeling it on an emotional level. And of course, this can play out on a physical level as well. So, with the full moon taking place in your fifth house, this is activating your romantic life, so dating, your sex life, as well as owning your own business. If you own your own business, children, whether this is you wanting to have children, or this can impact your children who you've already um, the children that are already in your life. And the fifth house is also associated with our hobbies and our passions and creativity. For some of you, you may be launching a business, you may be selling your business or closing it down, or launching some sort of new product or service, or perhaps you are no longer going to be selling a certain product, or offering a certain service. There could be a big financial breakthrough that comes through with respect to your business, especially because Scorpio is a money sign. It's not a money sign, but it rules over mutual resources. Well, I guess I would say that it is a money sign. And 14 degrees is the Taurus degree, which rules over finances and resources. So there could be some sort of big boon that is coming your way, financially speaking, or you may have to invest in your business. So there may be large expenses connected to your business. On a different note, some of you may be falling pregnant, giving birth. And so those of you who have children, this can indicate there being a big chapter coming to a close with respect to your child, more so your firstborn child, but it doesn't have to be. And on a different note, some of you may be getting into a relationship with someone that you've previously been involved with, because the South Node and the South Node can bring someone back from the past. Some of you may decide that you want to walk away from a certain relationship, a romantic relationship, that is. And on a different note, this can indicate that there is a big breakthrough between you and your romantic partner, especially if there's been some kind of discord within that relationship, or if you have felt like you're not on the same page. I just want to reiterate that although eclipses can be quite dramatic and unexpected in nature. This one is still making a trine to you. So something positive can certainly be coming out of this eclipse for you. Now, I am still on Cancer. Looking at Mercury retrograde in Taurus, Mercury is retrograde from the 21st of April through till the 14th of May, and it's retrograde in your 11th house. So this can see you getting back in touch with old friends. Maybe you're attending some sort of reunion. You may be editing your social media platform or channel. There could be some changes to your passive forms of income or residual forms of income. Just as an example, this could be with respect to rent money that you receive, or royalties or dividends. And many of you will be revising your long-term goals and dreams for the future, which is indicated by the 11th house itself. And if you had plans to attend some sort of conference or large event, or concert, perhaps anything that involves a group or a community, this can see those dates changing. So just be mindful of that, especially if you were the one hosting an event. If you're setting the date now and it's like between now and the 14th of May or even the end of May, just know that there may be some um, hurdles to overcome, or that the time or the venue the time of the event may change, or the venue may have to change. So there could just be changes to these large scale events. Lastly, you may be returning to some kind of community that you used to be involved in, or you could be walking away from one if you feel as though your values are no longer in alignment with them. Now, on the 16th of May, Jupiter is going to enter the sign of Taurus for the first time in about 12 years. So, Jupiter will be in your 11th house in Taurus from the 16th of May through till the end of May in 2024. So it's 12 months straight in the 12th house. So this can see your long-term goals and dreams for the future being expanded in a really big way. It's sort of like, dream bigger, go hard or go home sort of energy. And this can see you expanding your wider network. You can meet lots and lots more people, whether this is through your industry or just socializing. If you have a social media platform, this can see your audience expanding exponentially. So this is very beneficial for anyone who is on social media, especially for your work, because Jupiter rules over your 6th house. On a different note, this can see you potentially teaching a large group of people, or maybe you are teaching online, just because Jupiter is a planet which represents teaching, and it rules over your 9th house, being Pisces, and that's also associated with teaching. So there can certainly be opportunities for you to share your knowledge with others, or you may be taking up some sort of course which is online. To be fair, the 11th house is associated with PhDs, and with Jupiter ruling over your 9th house, which is associated with higher education, some of you may be taking on a PhD, and this could even be funded by your work with Jupiter ruling over your 6th house, although it doesn't need to be. The 11th house rules over gains, so it is a money house in astrology. So you may be receiving some sort of government benefit. Someone may be investing in you, whether this is like a Kickstarter program, or maybe you're receiving a sponsorship to work abroad. You may be receiving legal compensation for something, or damages. And this is also a great opportunity for you to collaborate with other people. That's just on a different level. And certainly you could be involved in a large community. So maybe you're joining some sort of humanitarian cause. You could be running a non-for-profit, or you could be working in a very large organization while Jupiter is in your 11th house. So obviously, that's a lot of food for thought. I hope that all of that makes sense for you guys. Now, on the 19th of May, there will be a new moon in Taurus at 28 degrees, and this will be in your 11th house. So if you just cast your mind back to what I've talked about with Jupiter in your 11th house, this can be a new chapter starting there. Maybe it's a new social media platform or channel. Maybe it's joining a new group or community, making a new friend, collaborating with another person, receiving financial support from someone else. And this could be you generating a new stream of passive income. Now, on the 20th of May, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo. So it will be transiting your second house, and it will be there for 7 weeks until the 10th of July. And wherever Mars goes, this is where we're putting our energy, our effort, and our attention. So Mars in the second house can see you generating a new stream of income. There can be a lot of expenses while Mars is in the second house. I have noticed that for myself personally. And for some of you, you could be investing in a new business or a business venture or your career, especially because Mars rules over your 5th house, which is Scorpio, and your 10th house, which is Aries. There could be some big expenses on for your children with Mars ruling over the 5th house, or maybe you're just spending money on your hobbies and passions. In any case, this can also see you clearing out your closet, your wardrobe, because the second house rules over storage, or maybe you are putting energy and effort into your diet and trying to cut something out of your diet, specifically speaking. So, now let's have a look at Leo, Sun, Moon, or Risings. And just a sec, guys. It's chamomile tea, in case you're wondering. And this is my Harry Potter mug. By the way, this is the Marauders map. I'm Harry Potter obsessed. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. So, Leo, Sun, Moon, and Risings. On the 5th of May, the full moon eclipse will be in Scorpio in your 4th house at 14 degrees. So some of you may be finishing up a lease. You may be signing a new lease. You may be moving out of your current residence, or someone may be moving out of your home. This can see you discovering important information about your ancestry or your lineage. And for other Leos, especially if you're a Leo moon and Leo rising, less so Leo suns, this can see you letting go of some sort of emotional baggage that you've been carrying around with you. So this is actually a very potent time for healing and letting go of things from your childhood or that have been impacting you negatively, emotionally speaking. And also, some of you may be actually getting back in touch with a parent, because the 4th house rules over family, and the South Node represents bringing something back from the past. So you may be forgiving your parent for something that happened between you, or you could just be making peace with certain childhood influences or family influences. And these could absolutely be at the forefront of your mind. Even if you're not making peace with them, it could just be that you're feeling emotionally affected by the events of your childhood or just family influences in general. Now, from the 21st of April through till the 14th of May, Mercury will be retrograde in Taurus in your 10th house. So whenever Mercury is retrograde in the 10th house, this can represent rethinking our career. This can be changing our perspective on our life's purpose and what we want to be doing with respect to public reputation, our vocation, and our public identity. This can also indicate that you are having a change in your status. And this is like your status of all kinds. So the 10th house, when it's activated, this can impact our employment status as well as our relationship status, or even your status as a parent. Okay, so because it's a retrograde, this is more about reverting back to something, or making decisions about what to do going forwards. So even if nothing really changes, between the 21st of April and the 14th of May. It could be that after the 14th of May, you've landed on some important decisions that you want to make, and then it's about taking action on those. In any case, this is a huge, huge month for Leos when it comes to your career and when it comes to your public identity and your public reputation, because we've got Mercury retrograde in the 10th house, followed by Jupiter entering Taurus in the 10th house, followed by a new moon in Taurus in the 10th house. So let's have a look at Jupiter changing signs, shall we? Jupiter is going to enter the sign of Taurus on the 16th of May, and it will be in Taurus in your 10th house for 12 months until May 2024. This is the first time Jupiter's been in Taurus in about 11 or 12 years. And this is hugely, hugely beneficial for Leos when it comes to their career, their influence in society and in the world, receiving more acknowledgement for your public standing and for what you represent and for what you stand for, because essentially Jupiter represents influential people, coaches, mentors, teachers, people who are well educated. It's like um, the ultimate influential individual. So Jupiter going through your 10th house can indicate that you have a lot more personal authority as represented by the 10th house with respect to the matters that you're talking about. So Jupiter rules over your 5th house, just first of all, which is Sagittarius, as well as your 8th house, which is Pisces. The 5th house rules over dating, romance, children, sports, performance, hobbies, passions, creativity, entertainment, so the entertainment industry. And then Jupiter ruling over the 8th house represents healing, transformation, conspiracies, occult topics, esoteric knowledge, taxes, shared resources and finances, if I didn't mention that already, as well as um, forbidden topics, taboo topics, and any kind of emergency service or crisis management. So these are the areas with respect or with which you can see your status changing. Okay, so maybe you're going to enter into a relationship and that's made public within that 12-month period with Jupiter ruling over the 5th house. Maybe you'll become a parent. Maybe you will have information and knowledge to share on those 5th house topics, whether that's like sports, creativity, performance, owning your own business. Okay, for any Leos who want to start their own business or who already own their own business, this can see you receiving a lot more acknowledgement and recognition for what it is that you've created or for what it is that you were doing. And like I said, with Jupiter ruling over the 8th house, you can receive more attention for those topics that you may be speaking on or that you may have researched. And some of you may become teachers and educators on those 5th house and 8th house matters. So you guys can also be put through some sort of test when it comes to your education in those matters, because Jupiter being in the 10th house and going over your midheaven, for those of you who have a Taurus midheaven, it's like you guys are being put on display and it's like proving yourself. So when I say test, I don't mean it in a negative way. Jupiter going through your 10th house is one of the most positive transits for career and just feeling more powerful and influential and people listening to you. Certainly your workload could expand. There could be a lot of pressure on you to deliver. You may receive a promotion during this time. You may receive a position of leadership. You may become a teacher or a highly influential figure with respect to your religion, religious practice, or your spiritual practice. And I think I've gone into enough detail there. Very, very positive for you, Leos. Okay. Now, on the 19th of May, there will be a new moon in Taurus at 28 degrees in your 10th house. So, again, this could be a new chapter that is starting I hope you guys can't hear that construction outside. That just gave me a little shock. Anyway, so some of you may be starting a new job, receiving a promotion, starting your own business, launching a new part of or a new service in your business or a new product. Um, it's like a new chapter with respect to your public identity. Now, on the 20th of May, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo. And if I'm not wrong, it's probably been about 2 years since Mars was in the sign of Leo. Anyway, so it'll be in your first house for 7 weeks until the 10th of July. And anytime Mars enters our first sign, which I just had as a Gemini rising, this can see you guys focusing on your physical appearance, maybe working out more, maybe you're having more energy or experiencing more motivation. You could be setting new goals for yourself. You could be setting new challenges for yourself. You may be burning the candle at both ends. So I would just say to be careful that you're not burning out, especially in May, because Mars, Pluto, and Jupiter are all going to make a T square at 0 degrees. So just be mindful that you're not overextending yourself or overexerting yourself, because you will feel the impetus to set these new goals and set these new challenges, and you may have more energy, but you are at risk of just going hell for leather to put yourself out there and try to do everything at once. So please be mindful that you are taking it easy. So now let's move on to my Virgo moon or risings. I myself am a Virgo moon. So hello, much love to my fellow Virgos. Now on the 5th of May, there will be a full moon eclipse in Scorpio at 14 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 3rd house. So this can see you reading or consuming content that is life-changing, because Scorpio has this transformative energy, and a full moon eclipse or a lunar eclipse in Scorpio can have a really healing impact, especially when it's making a positive aspect to your sun, moon, or ascendant. So this full moon eclipse in your 3rd house is going to be sextiling you, which indicates that there's some sort of beneficial energy there. And also it's going to be opposite Uranus and Taurus in your 9th house, and that's trining you. So for Virgos, maybe you are coming across a book or written material or a podcast, or you watch a documentary which gives you the nugget of wisdom or information that you need in order to help you change your life. On a different note, you could be releasing some kind of communications piece which helps to heal a lot of people, or maybe it's reaching a rather large audience, especially with Uranus being in your 9th house and trining you, so it could circulate and reach a lot of people. A full moon eclipse in your 3rd house can indicate having a very important and clarifying conversation with a sibling, friend, or a relative. On a different note, you may be passing some sort of test or sitting some kind of examination, because the 3rd house rules over tests and exams. It also rules over apprenticeships and short-term education. So some of you may be finishing something up. Maybe you don't even finish it, and maybe you're just like, I'm quitting. I don't like this. This isn't for me. So there could be a little bit of drama involved with the conclusion of some kind of education course or material. Or maybe, worst case scenario is that you could have like a heated discussion, or I dare say an argument with a friend, a sibling, a relative, or a coworker. And lastly, maybe you guys are working on a website and now it's ready for launch, or you're launching a new service or a product, or you could close an important business deal, because the 3rd house is associated with contracts. And Scorpio is about mutual resources. So this could be like a joint business venture, or you could be receiving finances from another person. So financial aid or assistance, especially because the full moon eclipse is at 14 degrees, which is the Taurus degree, which rules over finances and resources. So From the 21st of April through till the 14th of May, Mercury will be retrograde in Taurus from 15 degrees going back to 5 degrees. And this is going to be in your ninth house, which means that the Virgos who will be the most impacted by this will be those between 5 and 15 degrees. Having said that, because you're Virgos, Mercury is your chart ruler. Okay, so this Mercury retrogrades always impact Virgos, and I personally am hit by this doubly so because I'm a Virgo moon and a Gemini rising. So always pay attention to Mercury retrogrades. It doesn't mean that they're a bad thing. In fact, Mercury in the ninth house is trining you. So you may be making changes to your travel plans. You may be rethinking your education, changing classes, teachers, maybe your mentor is going to need to find a substitute, or maybe you just don't want to do you want to choose a different mentor, especially if you're completing a thesis. You may change your thesis topic. Others of you may be going back to school. You may be returning to an education program that you were involved in. And some of you may be returning to a country that you've been to before, because the retrogrades are all about doing something that we've done before. The ninth house rules over your belief systems as well as the law. So some of you may be appealing a court decision or a court case. You may be reopening a court case, or you may have to get back in touch with your solicitor or your lawyer. Some of you could simply be rethinking your belief systems. How do you view the world? What's your vision for your future? Especially because Mercury rules over your 10th house, which is Gemini. And this is like, what do I want to do with my career? What do I want to do? Like, what's my life purpose? Maybe you're having an epiphany with respect to your life purpose. And certainly your ideas or your ideals about what you can achieve with your life and what direction you want to go in may be undergoing a huge revision process. Now, from the 16th of May, Jupiter is going to enter the sign of Taurus, and it will be in your ninth house for 12 months until May 2024. In 2023, Jupiter will only go from 0 to 15 degrees, and it'll have a retrograde motion in 2023. So essentially, the Virgos who are going to feel this Jupiter and Taurus transit the most will be those between 0 and 15 degrees in 2023. If you're 16 to 29 degrees, then you're going to feel it in the first 5 months of 2024. So, one moment. I can't believe I'm not even fully halfway, and I'm an hour in. Oh well. So, with Jupiter being in your ninth house, this is so positive for Virgos because it's trining you. Okay, so this can see you feeling more optimistic. This can see you having more travel opportunities. This can see you having opportunities to teach, to learn, to educate others. So some of you may be committing to a higher education course or program, or you may be becoming a teacher yourself. And as I mentioned, I think in the Taurus reading, this is something that I really want to be looking at in 2023. And looks like this is the perfect 12-month period for me to do so. And I'm a 1 degree Virgo moon. Shout out to my 1 degree Virgos. Now, for many Virgos, you may become more cultured, and by that I mean just learning about other cultures, other ethnicities. You may be meeting a lot of people while you travel. There could be a lot of travel opportunities. I myself am going to be spending several months abroad while Jupiter is in Taurus in my ninth house. And for others of you, this can see you, if I didn't say it already, meeting a lot of foreigners. So meeting a lot of people who just have wildly different cultural backgrounds and roots to you. And for others of you, this can see you initiating some sort of international relocation process. Maybe you are committing to some sort of immigration process, because Jupiter rules over your fourth house, which is where you live. So Jupiter rules over your 7th house, which is contracts. So the time is ripe for those of you who want to relocate to another country or apply for permanent residency or citizenship, or anything which involves you living abroad or working abroad, especially if you're a Virgo sun, although you don't have to be. This can see you guys engaging the services of a coach. Maybe it's a life coach or a business coach. Maybe you are becoming a coach because the 9th house rules over coaching. This can see you getting published. So your creative work may be published and circulated. For others of you, you could become a grandparent during this 12-month period. So shout out to my Virgo sun, moon, and risings becoming grandparents. And I say this because Jupiter rules over your 4th house, which represents your lineage. And the 9th house is the 5th house from your 5th house. So this is your children's children. If that's too advanced for you, just leave it alone. I just wanted to educate those of you who may be interested in that. So the 9th house is grandchildren and grandparent energy. Now, on a different note, you may become more interested in politics or in expanding your worldview when it comes to your ideological belief systems. And some of you may be initiating legal proceedings against another person or involved in them. And that is because the 9th house rules over the law, so does Jupiter. And maybe this is to do with a divorce or a separation with Jupiter ruling over the 7th house, or it could be to do with your own family with Jupiter ruling over the 4th house, or maybe it's property. And by the way, this doesn't need to be negative at all. Court cases and legal proceedings, they don't need to be like when you hear it in an astrological transit video, don't think worst case scenario. Like there's a way to still, for some of you, there'll be a way to still do things amicably or harmoniously, especially because Jupiter is trining you. So I just wanted to say that if you are involved in legal court cases or proceedings, Jupiter trining you guys as Virgos represents some sort of divine protection over us as Virgos, let's say. And also, Jupiter in the 9th house can indicate falling pregnant. Hear me out. It is because it's trining you, okay? And Jupiter is one of the most, in a Jupiter trine transit is one of the most powerful for pregnancy. So I would be looking at your degree, okay? So whether I would want to see Jupiter trining you within a few degrees, especially if you're between 0 and 15 degrees, because Jupiter is going to go back and forth over the trine. I digress. On a different note, this can indicate some of you getting married because Jupiter rules over your 7th house, which is Pisces, and this represents partnerships and marriage. And the 9th house is also associated with marriage as well. Now, on the 19th of May, there will be a new moon in Taurus at 28 degrees in your 9th house. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's a new chapter starting with respect to 9th house matters. So this could be to do with a new chapter with your education, travel, belief systems, legal matters, and just your worldview as well. Lastly, for you Virgos, on the 20th of May, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo in your 12th house, and it will be there for 7 weeks until the 10th of July. So Mars in the 12th house is more like what you're doing behind the scenes. So other people are not really going to be super aware of it. So the 12th house is a hidden house, and wherever Mars goes, this is where we're putting energy and attention and our effort and focus. So you may be focusing on spirituality, yoga, meditation, working on some kind of creative project behind the scenes. You could be working on self-sabotaging behavior and doing away with exhibiting these behaviors which are negatively impacting you. You may overcome a fear or overcome an addiction. Worst case scenario is that Mars in the 12th house can see those fears and addictions flare up. But just know that Mars is going to allow you to make a lot of headway here, especially because it rules over the 8th house for you guys, which is Aries. And so it's like you can really transform your life in a unexpectedly rapid way, because Mars ruling the 8th house is like this quick transformation. And for others of you, you could just be learning a lot about astrology or yoga or meditation. Because Mars is a very physical sign, I would encourage you as a fellow Virgo to set some kind of new goal or challenge. So maybe it's like a 21-day meditation challenge, or if you're doing the physical side of spiritual practice, again, that could be yoga, that could be meditation, or starting some sort of new um, um, spiritual practice, or even swimming, because the 12th house is rules over large bodies of water. So Mars in the 12th house could be that you're doing a lot more swimming. And so now let's have a look at Libras. And this officially marks the halfway point. So this will be for Libra, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Just one sec, you guys. And just by the way, shout out to everyone who is watching this live. I really appreciate all of your support, and you guys are the best. Okay. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Risings. On the 5th of May, there will be a full moon eclipse in Scorpio in your 2nd house. So this can see you letting go of some stream of financial income. This doesn't need to be a negative thing, by the way. It's just like maybe you have multiple streams of income and you're like, I can't keep this up anymore. I need to focus on these ones. So I need to let go of that. Some of you may be receiving a lump sum of money, especially because the 2nd house is your personal finances and resources. But in the sign of Scorpio, it's like someone sharing with you or someone helping you. And we're doubling down on this financial aspect because 14 degrees is the Taurus degree. Now, some of you may be receiving like a family heirloom, or you could be clearing out your closet or wardrobe or giving away some of your possessions. Some of you may discover a long lost valuable or possession. Maybe you thought that that you'd lost it. Maybe someone returns it to you. Maybe you thought that your grandmother would never give you her diamond ring, and she's like, here you go. On a different note, the 2nd house rules over our diet. So this can see you closing a chapter when it comes to a specific diet. So maybe you're vegetarian and you're like, no, I'm not going to be vegetarian anymore. Or maybe there could be some kind of discovery for you guys of food allergies. So you may be finding yourself in a position where you have to like give up dairy or gluten. And lastly, the 2nd house rules over our values, especially family traditions or family values, which have been passed along through your family line. So these can be quite unconscious or subconscious, let's say. So you may be letting go of that. And that may be something which has been holding you back. And now you feel quite liberated from like upholding this family tradition that is not actually in alignment with you and your beliefs. Now, from the 21st of April through till the 14th of May, for you Libras, Mercury will be retrograde in Taurus in your 8th house. So this can see there being a big shift when it comes to finances. And you know what? Almost this entire horoscope for you guys, actually, all of it is hitting your financial sectors, because we're having the 2nd house activated, which is personal resources and finances, and the 8th house, which is mutual resources. And then we've also got the 11th house with Mars entering Leo, which I'll talk about at the end. So money, money, money is the topic for you Libras. I digress. From the 21st of May through till the 21st of April through till the 14th of May, Mercury is retrograde in Taurus in your 8th house. So this can see there being changes to your mutual resources. How much are you contributing to other people? How much are you receiving? Maybe you're changing up your insurance policy, or any kind of um, uh, resource or financial contract that you have that involves another person. You could be getting back in touch with someone that you used to be intimate with, or an intimate or sexual relationship that you used to be involved in can actually be reignited, because the 8th house rules over sex and intimacy. And also, some of you may be overcoming a fear or overcoming an addiction. If you had a surgery which was delayed, this can see you actually having it take place during the Mercury retrograde, or maybe some of you are having a follow-up surgery during this time because the 8th house rules over surgeries. And some of you may be revisiting an astrologer or a tarot reader or a psychic or a medium that you've seen before, because retrogrades are to do something that we've done before, especially Mercury retrogrades. Now, on the 16th of May, Jupiter is going to enter the sign of Taurus. So this will be in your 8th house. And this is the first time Jupiter has been in Taurus in your 8th house for like about 12 years. So wherever Jupiter goes, we are learning about these houses, we are learning about these topics, but also we can receive some sort of blessing or good fortune or good luck here. This means incredibly deep and profound healing is going to be taking place for my beautiful Libras, because the 8th house is associated with these deep transformations, these rapid transformations as well. And it's about healing and going within. So if you have having Jupiter in the 8th house, can see some of you receiving an inheritance. This person does not need to pass away for you to receive it. I've mentioned this in previous videos, but I have personally received money from my grandparent who has now passed away. But he wrote me a check for $1,000 like 2 or 3 years before he passed away, and he wasn't even sick. So some of you may be receiving an inheritance, or maybe an heirloom which comes to you beforehand. Also, some of you may actually be falling pregnant, because the 8th house is associated with fertility. And some of you may receive a big increase in pay or a lump sum of money. This could be through a joint business venture, or this could be through sales, especially because Jupiter rules over your 3rd house, which is Sagittarius, which represents sales, as in the 3rd house is sales. And for others of you, if you are in a committed romantic relationship, your partner may receive a big increase in money. Now, you could receive a payout when it comes to an insurance claim. And on a different note, you could be receiving life-changing advice, because Jupiter rules over coaching and counseling and psychologists. Or the 8th house rules over psychology, and Jupiter represents these coaches and these mentors who share wisdom with you, which can change your life. And certainly, many of you will be doing a real deep dive into occult topics and esoteric matters, so you can educate yourself or receive an education in those areas. And for others of you, a new sexual relationship may begin while Jupiter is in your 12th house. Now, on the 19th of May, there will be a new moon in Taurus at 28 degrees in your 8th house. So again, there could be a new chapter here. So going into business with another person, your partner earning more money, you sharing your resources or finances with another person. You could start seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You could start an astrology course or learning tarot. You could see an astrologer or a tarot reader, maybe for the first time with the new moon here in the 8th house. And new moons equal new chapters, a new chapter starting in our lives, essentially. So lastly, Libra, on the 20th of May, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo, and it will be transiting Leo in your 11th house for 7 weeks till the 10th of July. The 11th house rules over communities, large-scale events, your wider network, collaborations, social media. And so some of you guys may be focusing your energy and attention on starting a new social media platform or expanding the one you already have. The 11th house is your long term goals and dreams, and Mars represents challenges. So you may be setting new goals, new challenges for yourself with Mars in the 11th house. You could just be really gung ho about working hard on your long term goals and dreams. You may join a new group or a community. Worst case scenario is this can represent fighting with friends or walking away from a community that you're involved in. The 11th house also rules over older siblings, so there could be tension with older siblings. But to be honest, Mars in the 11th house is sextiling you. This is positive. When I had Mars in my 11th house in Aries, I was just like working really hard on my YouTube channel and also working on long-term goals and dreams and just putting my attention towards those. And also this can see you working on developing a new form of passive income. So now let's have a look at Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Just a sec, guys. I've got 4 signs left and I'm like, come on, third, come through. Anyway, my tea's cold. Okay. So Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Risings. This is an enormous month for you, and that's for more than one reason. First of all, we've got the full moon eclipse in Scorpio in your first house, but then we've got this huge activation of Taurus in your 7th house, and any transits that are occurring on the 1st and 7th house axes. You know, there's a lot happening in our personal lives, but then also in the lives of our partners or just in our relationship sector, let's say. A full moon eclipse in your first house as a Scorpio sun, moon, or rising will impact you no matter what kind of Scorpio you are. Having said that, the Scorpios who will be the most impacted would be those at 14 degrees and then plus or minus 5 degrees. So we're looking at 9 degrees through till 19 degrees Scorpios. When we have a full moon eclipse in our first house, this can be really liberating because we can have epiphanies and breakthroughs and realizations about what we want to let go of, what no longer serves us. In the sign of Scorpio, this is about purging toxicity from our life. So it's like, is this serving me? Is this relationship serving me? Are we on the same page? Do I still want to be in business with this person? Do I still want to be in a relationship with this person? This can see there being a breakthrough with relationships, especially if you feel like you and the other person haven't been seeing eye to eye. This can see you guys, if you're Scorpio sun, maybe having a breakthrough with your career or walking away from your job or from an industry if it no longer works for you. Maybe you're looking at closing down your business, or you could be launching a business if you are a Scorpio sun or perhaps rising. If you're a Scorpio moon, this could be more about changing up your property and living circumstances. So maybe you are moving out or someone's moving in, or you're finishing up a lease or buying a new property. This could see you having an epiphany when it comes to the family dynamics between you and parents or you and your children. The moon rules over relationships of all kinds. So honestly, a Scorpio moon individual, especially around 14 degrees, is going to be feeling it on that emotional level, and there can be some really big shifts with relationships. And if you're a Scorpio rising, I mean, honestly, this can impact you in all of those aforementioned ways. And it won't just necessarily hit on the 5th of May. This could be like 2, 3, 4 weeks before, or maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks after. From the 21st of April through till the 14th of May, Mercury will be retrograde in Taurus in your 7th house from 15 going back to 5 degrees. So that means that the Scorpios who will be the most impacted will be those from 5 to 15 degrees. So you may be getting back in touch with an ex, hearing from an ex, maybe getting back with an ex. You could be hearing back from former clients or people that you used to do business with, people that you haven't heard from in a long time in the way of friends. Or co-workers. You may be renegotiating contracts, and You could be rethinking your values when it comes to your relationships with other people. Now, from the 16th of May, we are going to see Jupiter entering the sign of Taurus. Also, just a quick shout out. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you for the donation to my channel. That's really generous and very much appreciated. Now, on the 16th of May, Jupiter is going to enter the sign of Taurus in your seventh house. And in 2023, you're looking at 0 to 15 degrees Taurus. So the Scorpios who will be the most impacted in 2023 will be those between 0 and 15 degrees. If you're Scorpio between 16 and 29 degrees, you'll feel that in the first 5 months of 2024, more so. But of course, still this transit will apply to you nevertheless. Jupiter in your seventh house, what can we say? More friends, more clients, liberation and freedom from contracts or client relationships that are holding you back and that are no longer in alignment with you. You can have way more friends come into your life, and these are like close personal one-to-one friendships. On a different note, if you own your own business, you may be having like meeting a lot more clients, or there may be new services that you are offering. You may engage the services of a tutor. So this can represent one-to-one learning or one-to-one tutoring or coaching. You may be collaborating with a lot of other people. Jupiter rules over your fifth house, which is Pisces, and the fifth house is dating and romance. So, and it also rules over children. So Jupiter ruling over the fifth house, going into the seventh house, this is a big indicator for Scorpios getting into a romantic relationship, if that's what you want. And also, Jupiter opposing you could activate a pregnancy for you, or Jupiter transiting your seventh house could indicate that your significant other is falling pregnant, because your seventh house is their first house. And honestly, if you work in sales or negotiations, or if you work in foreign affairs, or you're a lawyer, this can see there being a huge expansion in your career. So you can see a lot of growth and progress in those sorts of industries. And on a different note, this can see you being a real support system for friends, because it's that seventh house of one-to-one relationships. So you can find that lots of people are coming to you for advice, and you're just like, you know, what do they call it? An agony aunt? My dad used to say I was that for my friends. Anyway, I digress. So this can see you guys sharing a lot of advice with people that you know. People are just coming to you and they're like, please, can you help me? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? But this can also see you receiving life-changing advice from other people as well. This is just hugely positive for relationships of all kinds. So even if you are in a romantic relationship already, you may be getting engaged, you may be getting married, maybe you're going to travel with your significant other or learn something new. If you have wanted to exit a romantic relationship and you just haven't had the courage, or you just didn't feel ready, Jupiter going through the seventh house can see you finally making that decision. Okay, but just remember, Jupiter is going to bring a blessing to you. So yes, it can indicate a relation, the disintegration of a relationship or the breaking down of it. But somehow this is a blessing. You know, whether you see it that way or not, Jupiter is always going to bring you good fortune, good luck, and blessings into your life. So on the 19th of May, there will be a new moon in Taurus at 28 degrees in your seventh house. So this can be a new contract, new client relationship, new business, maybe a new relationship starting in an official capacity. Just as I said that, there's 111 people watching live, so that's 111. I digress. The new moon in the seventh house could be a new friend, a new collaboration, or if you're in a romantic relationship already, this could be a new chapter that's starting in the life of your significant other. Now, on the 20th of May, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo, and it will be in Leo in your 10th 10th house for 7 weeks until the 10th of July. So Mars in the 10th house can see you guys really working on your career, your vocation, applying for a promotion, being more noticeable, or let's say your efforts being more noticeable in the eyes of your boss or anyone who's in upper level management. Mars is your chart ruler. So whatever Mars is doing, its activity in general is going to impact you as Scorpios. And Mars was over your 6th house, which is work. So this really is a work intensive period for you. Don't be surprised if you're burning the candle at both ends, if you have more on your plate with respect to work than normal. And for others of you, worst case scenario is arguing with your boss or going head to head with an authority figure. Be careful when it comes to getting in trouble with the law. Mars in the 10th house is just one of those key transits for getting booked for speeding, just anything which involves an authority figure penalizing you. I would just be mindful of that. But really, this can see you guys taking action when it comes to positions of power and leadership, even if you're not in the workforce. Some of you may be resigning, retiring, or taking on some kind of leadership position where people are looking to you to take action and to be, an inspirational figure. So that's it for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Let's move on to Sagittarius now. Formal signs. So just bear with me. It's like an hour and a half in, and I need to keep hydrating. So I'm going to cover Sagittarius, then we'll finish up with Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. On the 5th of May, there will be a full moon eclipse in Scorpio in your 12th house at 14 degrees. So this is much more of a psychological influence. For Sagittarians, this can be overcoming certain fears, overcoming addictions, understanding your potentially self-sabotaging behavior, whether this is to do with procrastination, escapism, being non-committal. The 12th house is also associated with creativity, so you may be finishing up some kind of creative project. You could be having some sort of intuitive download, because the 12th house is associated with inspiration and intuition. So a full moon eclipse in Scorpio in the 12th house could be like receiving an important message in your dreams or while you're meditating, or maybe it's an important message while you're practicing tarot for yourself, or maybe you see an astrologer or a tarot reader. In any case, this represents potentially life-altering intuitive advice and spiritual advice, whether that comes through you or another person. And like I said, because it's in the 12th house, this is on more of an internal level, so you may not feel it too intensely unless you have planets in Scorpio or perhaps fixed signs. Now, from the 21st of April through till the 14th of May, there is going to be Mercury retrograde in Taurus in your 6th house from 15 degrees going back to 5 degrees. So this can see you returning to the workforce, maybe returning to an old job, touching up your resume, rethinking your work, so work opportunities or prospects. Former work opportunities could be coming back around to you with this Mercury retrograde. You may have an audit occurring on your taxes. So just be mindful of that. A debt could be repaid to you, or a debt, or you may be paying off some sort of loan or debt. And the 6th house is also associated with health habits and routines. So this is actually a very positive time for you to kick an old health habit, but please be mindful of former habits creeping back in. So just be careful. If you used to bite your nails and you haven't done that for years, you may be inclined to do that. So that's just a random example. This can see you having an epiphany when it comes to health issues or ailments, and maybe you're getting to the root cause of why certain ones exist. And others of you may be going back to doctors or health practitioners for checkups. Now, from the 16th of May through till the end of May in 2024, Jupiter, which is your ruling planet, will be in Taurus in your sixth house. So this is a 12-month transit. Last time Jupiter was in Taurus was like 12 years ago. And because it's your ruling planet, wherever Jupiter goes, whatever it's doing, this impacts Sagittarians in a really big way. So the sixth house is associated with work, habits, routines, health, pets, being of service, also day-to-day tasks like what you do for work, admin, cleaning, etc. So, and it is also one of the legal houses. So with Jupiter being in your sixth house, this indicates that there is a big focus on these areas and that you could be learning something new about these areas. You also may be traveling for work. Let's talk about them in order. With work, you may travel for work, especially if you're a Sagittarius sun or rising. You may be having a lot more work on your plate, so the workload could increase. You may start a new job. You may leave your existing job. Maybe this is for a sabbatical or to start a new line of work. You may start working for yourself. For those of you who own your own business, you could be expanding your office. You could be hiring more people. And this could be indicative of on-the-job work experience. So this is maybe hands-on experience. On a different note, with your work environment, it could become more spiritual or more political. So on one hand, maybe there are like sleeping pods, or there's like a yoga studio in your workplace, and now you can, practice spiritual or maybe religious, what's another word for practice? Whatever, practices. And on a different note, there may be more of a political environment coming into your work. So maybe you have to toe certain lines or watch your mouth, basically, as a Sagittarius. I know you guys don't like that, which is fair enough. For others of you, I think I mentioned this before, but you could be traveling to work. So there could be, it could be that you relocate to an international office, or your job could be a global. You could work for a global company, or your work could involve air travel, or maybe you're becoming a pilot or a flight attendant or something like that. Now, on a different note, first of all, let me say this is bringing a huge blessing to your work life. Maybe you're more spiritually in alignment with it. You're feeling more fulfilled by it. There are more opportunities. Maybe you'll have more influence in your workplace. Jupiter through the sixth house is very positive for work, just generally speaking. Now, with health and exercise, there could be a big focus on this. You could receive a huge blessing when it comes to your health. You could educate yourself about health matters. You could be trying new healing modalities, or just see an improvement in your health in general. And this can see you forming important habits for your long-term future, because the sixth house is like your habits and routines. So lastly, you may pay off a loan. You may receive a loan, because Jupiter rules over wealth and generosity and benevolence. Maybe this, and also anything that's large. This could be a large loan that you pay off, or a large loan that you receive. You could just be feeling more confident about your health, about your work. And also, some of you may be receiving a blessing in the form of a pet, because the sixth house is pets. So you could adopt a pet. You could, your pet could go through a healing process. And also, for some of you, your work may involve pets. And lastly, Jupiter rules over the fourth house for you guys, which is Pisces. So the fourth house is property and living circumstances. So the ruler of the fourth house and the sixth house indicates that you may be getting a loan to purchase a property, or maybe you will have tenants move into your investment property. With this, just be careful not to become a workaholic. Now, on the 19th of May, there will be a new moon in Taurus at 28 degrees, and this will be taking place in your sixth house. So new moons equal new chapters. So again, this could be new pet, new job, new employee, new health habit, seeing a new doctor, trying a new health treatment. On the 20th of May, Mars will enter the sign of Leo, and it will be transiting your ninth house for 7 weeks until the 10th of July. So Mars in the ninth house can see you focusing on learning something new. So education, maybe you are teaching, maybe you're doing a course, maybe you are going to be making plans to travel, because the ninth house is associated with travel. It's also associated with belief systems, so political beliefs, spiritual, religious, etc. So you may be doing some work on those and really focusing your attention on what your beliefs are. The ninth house is associated with publishing. So this can see your work being published, or you working towards having something that you've created be circulated to a wide range of people. With Mars ruling over your fifth house, and the fifth house being associated with owning your own business, maybe you are looking at branching out, and maybe you're looking at import and export to foreign countries. And this can see you working on the long-term vision that you have for owning your own business, or for innovating or creating something new. Now, let's have a look at Capricorn sun, moon, or risings. On the 5th of May, there will be a full moon eclipse in Scorpio, and this will be at 14 degrees in your 11th house. So this is about the ending of a chapter or a cycle taking place. So you and a community that you're involved in may have some sort of big win, or you may be closing out a project, or maybe there's some sort of success that takes place here. So it's like the successful launch of a group project or community project. You may achieve a life goal of yours, or long-term goal or dream, or maybe you're letting go of a long-term goal or dream of yours because it's no longer in alignment. This can see you receiving financial aid or assistance, because the 11th house rules over investors. On a different note, you could be, let's say, reaching some sort of end with a contract, especially if this is financial in nature. So it could be drawing to a natural close, or you could just be walking away from a financial contractual relationship. And for others of you, you could be attending some sort of reunion with people who you went to school with, or who you used to be involved with in terms of your wider network. This could see you launching something on like a social media platform, which garners a lot of attention. And lastly, the 11th house is associated with passive forms of income and residual forms of income. So there could be a payout that comes your way. It could be government directed in nature, it could be legal in nature, so maybe receiving compensation or damages for something, or maybe you're receiving like a lump sum of money, or maybe rents, royalties, or dividends are coming to a close. So perhaps you're selling a property and you're getting a payout for the sale of that, or maybe you're selling off your investment property and you're no longer receiving rent money. Just a random example. From the 21st of April through to the 14th of May, Mercury will be retrograde in your fifth house. And this is in the sign of Taurus. So you could be reopening your business, you could be closing your business, you could be rebranding or changing the aesthetic, you could be offering services once more that you used to offer, or you could be bringing back old products and selling these again. You could be changing your mind about whether you want to start a family or expand your family, or you could be revising your parenting style. You may be re-entering the dating pool, getting back with an ex, hearing back from an ex, or reaching out to an ex. From the 16th of May 2023 until the end of May 2024, Jupiter is going to enter the sign of Taurus, and this will be in your fifth house. Just a sec, guys. Okay, so this is really, really positive for Capricorns, because Jupiter is going to be trining you as a Cap, Sun, Moon, or Rising. And the Caps who will be the most impacted in 2023 will be those between 0 and 15 degrees. If you're 16 to 29 degrees Capricorn, you're going to feel this more in the first 5 months of 2024. However, Jupiter in your fifth house is going to bring you more love, joy, happiness. You'll be prioritizing yourself. There may be opportunities for you to go on a vacation or a trip or just more vacation opportunities in general. You can just experience more good fortune and good luck coming your way, good karma or dharma, let's call it. This can see you having a lot of success in your business if you own your own business. Maybe you create your own business. Maybe the one that you already have is expanding, so business can expand, more sales, more knowledge on how to run your own business. You can feel more creative and more inspired. Positive news for you guys. Okay, so Jupiter in the fifth house can see you meeting someone, falling in love. The fifth house is dating and romance. This can see the spark being reignited in your romantic relationship if you're already with someone. More sex as well. The fifth house rules over sex, as does the eighth house. So, this is positive for you guys in that respect. If you have children, this can see there being a blessing coming to the life of your child, especially if this is your firstborn child, although it doesn't have to be, because Jupiter is going to trine you from the fifth house and it rules over children. This can see you becoming a parent or falling pregnant. Now, this can see you maybe teaching children, because the fifth house rules over children of all kinds, or maybe there's going to be nieces or nephews that come into your life which bring you some kind of blessing. The fifth house also rules over sports, performance, so you may have opportunities to perform. Maybe you're going to be, cast in a play or a film, or give some kind of sporting performance. And the fifth house is like your hobbies and passions. So you could be discovering something which brings you more joy and which brings you more passion. And I'm just really excited for the Capricorns that I know, and of course, all of you guys for this transit, because I know things have been difficult for you guys. So you'll just be feeling so much better and happier and optimistic in general. On the 19th of May, there'll be a new moon in Taurus in your fifth house at 28 degrees. So new moons equal new chapters. So again, we're looking at those fifth house topics. A new moon in your fifth house could indicate starting to get back out there with dating. Maybe you date someone new. Maybe you enter a new relationship. Maybe you start trying to have a child or expand your family. Again, you could fall pregnant with a new moon, especially if you're a Capricorn around 28 degrees, plus or minus 3 to 5 degrees. You may start a new business. You may start a new hobby or a passion. There's just a new positive chapter and beginning that's starting for you Capricorns. Now, on 20th of May, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo, which means it's going to be transiting your 8th house for 7 weeks until the 10th of July. So with Mars being in your 8th house, you'll be putting your energy and attention and focus into 8th house matters. So this can see you doing some deep research, maybe some investigative work. You may be focusing on starting up a joint business bank account with another person, or a business venture. This can see you sharing your resources with another person. So maybe you are financially contributing to someone else, or contributing resources that you do have to another person. This can see a new sexual relationship starting, because the 8th house is the other house that rules over sex, and Mars itself is associated with sex. This can see you working in a very strategic way towards healing something with yourself. So maybe you're cutting a plan with your psychologist or psychiatrist. You could be learning a lot about astrology or tarot or something occult or esoteric in nature. And with Mars in the 8th house, you could be drawing up a will, or you could be investigating signing up for life insurance or some kind of insurance policy. Now, that's about it actually for you guys, for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Risings. So if you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Okay, so I've got 2 signs left. Now we're going to have a look at Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Risings. For you guys, this full moon eclipse is taking place in your 10th house, which means the eclipse is squaring you. And the 10th house is all about your public standing, public reputation, your vocation, your life purpose, and career. So a full moon eclipse in the 10th house can indicate that you are leaving your job, maybe leaving the workforce altogether, taking a sabbatical, maybe resigning. You don't have to be. For others of you, you could be concluding some sort of position of leadership. So maybe your responsibilities with respect to managing other people or a big project are drawing to a close. You could be you could launch a new business or a new product or a service, and this could reach a large audience. For others of you, this may not be about work at all. This could be that you are making a breakup that you've gone through public, or you could be entering a relationship, because full moon eclipses on one level can be about something coming to a close. Again, that could obviously be a relationship, or it could be a culmination point where it's like, hey, I'm announcing this to the world. This is something that has been under wraps, and now I'm, presenting it. So the 10th house can indicate, eclipses which activate the 10th house can indicate a very definitive change in your status. So for some of you, you could actually become a parent with this eclipse, or you could be announcing that you are going to become a parent, or that you're pregnant. Maybe you're becoming a grandparent, and maybe you guys are putting something out on the table in a very authentic and sincere way, where it's like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. And this could be a little bit taboo in nature because it's Scorpio, or it could be spiritual or esoteric in nature. In any case, this can see you basically removing yourself from something that's no longer in alignment with you. And maybe this is becoming public in some way, where you're really taking a stand for what you believe in, and who you want to be known as, especially in a public sense. Now, from the 21st of May through till the 14th of uh, May, Mercury will be retrograde in your 4th house from 15 degrees to 5 degrees. So this is squaring you. This can see you rethinking your living circumstances. You may be moving back in with someone. Someone may be moving out. You may just be thinking about what you want to be doing with property. You could be reuniting with family. You could be revising your parenting style. You could be learning about your ancestry or your lineage. In any case, Mercury retrogrades in the 4th house can see us really thinking about family and our living circumstances, and making changes in those departments, or preparing to make changes in that department. From the 16th of May in 2023 through till the end of May in 2024, Jupiter will be in Taurus from 0 to 15 degrees in your 4th house. So wherever Jupiter goes, this is where you are learning something. This is where you are educating yourself or receiving an education. We can see expansion here. We can see a new chapter starting, or a new adventure, or freedom and liberation from this. So Jupiter in the 4th house can see you expanding your property portfolio, buying more property, or maybe even vehicles. This can see you moving abroad, because Jupiter represents traveling to a foreign country. You could just be living abroad for like this transit. Maybe it's for a few months, maybe it's for a year. It doesn't have to be permanent. You may be expanding your property. You could be renovating, building on existing land, or adding another level to your home. Your property could increase a lot in value. That's another way that this could play out. This could see you expanding your family. So you could become a parent during this 12-month period, or you could have another child. You may become the legal guardian for someone else's child, or maybe like a godparent. And on a different note, more people could be living with you. So if if it's just you in your home, maybe during this period of time, you're going to have people move in, and maybe it's your children coming back to live with you, or nieces or nephews, or maybe you're going to be living with a group of people, because this could indicate like lots of people in one household. Um, you could become a grandparent during this period of time. And honestly, this indicates that there can be a blessing on your family and on their health, blessing on your children, maybe procuring your dream home, or living somewhere where you've always wanted to live. So Jupiter will bring through some kind of blessing to you, or some sort of good luck or good fortune, but it may take the full 12 months for you to really like reap the rewards or the benefits of this transit. And like I said at the beginning, this can indicate freedom from that. So maybe you are escaping a living situation which is untenable or unpleasant. So this can help you to seek refuge somewhere else, or maybe someone is helping you out with your property and living circumstances. That's another way that that can play out. Now, on the 28th of um, May, there will be a new moon in Taurus at 28 degrees in the fourth house. So, new moons indicate a new chapter starting. So, again, I would see this being associated with property matters, family matters, living circumstances, and also the fourth house rules over our emotional contentment and our emotional sense of well being. So, there could be a new chapter starting here, but also I forgot to say that with Jupiter going through the fourth house, this can see you maybe overcoming some kind of depression or melancholic episode, and just feeling happier and more positive and more secure in yourself, emotionally speaking. On the 20th of May, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo in your seventh house, and it will be there for 7 weeks until the 10th of July. So, Mars in the seventh house can see you going into business with another person, starting a new um, maybe business relationship or partnership, signing on a new client, entering into a new contract. Maybe this can see you engaging the consulting services of someone who can help you with your business, especially because Mars rules over your 10th house. Or maybe you are um, going into one-to-one tutoring, because Mars rules over the third house, which is education, and the seventh house is like that one-to-one relationship. Worst case scenario is maybe going through a bit of a challenging time with your significant other, or maybe you are even going to break up with someone during this period of time. But just remember, Mars will go through your seventh house on average about once every 2-ish years. So it's really not anything to freak out about. For some of you, your significant other may just be more physically active. They may want to challenge themselves more, or they may just be going through a period of time where they're more goal oriented. So now let's move on to Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Lucky last. So Pisces, on the 5th of May, there will be a full moon eclipse in Scorpio in your ninth house at 14 degrees. Full moon eclipses or lunar eclipses are all about a chapter coming to a close, or potentially reaching some sort of peak or culmination point. So some of you may be concluding some sort of education program. You may be finishing up a coaching program. You may have a big breakthrough where you are graduating. You may have successfully learned something new, which you're really proud of, which could shape your path for the future. For others of you, you could just be walking away from an education program, even if you haven't finished, or you could be changing mentors or teachers. On a different note, the ninth house is ruling. The ninth house rules over travel, so your travel trip could be coming to a close, or there could be an opportunity for you to travel, which comes up unexpectedly with the full moon eclipse, which may be exciting for you. The ninth house is associated with our belief systems. So, a full moon eclipse in Scorpio could indicate that you are releasing negative or toxic belief systems or belief patterns, which are maybe negatively impacting you when it comes to your finances or your resources or your attitude towards money and income, especially because it's at 14 degrees, which is the Taurus degree, which is associated with finances and income. The ninth house rules over publications. So you may be releasing something which is being published and circulating to a wider audience. And also, the ninth house is associated with grandchildren, because this is the fifth house from your fifth house. So it's like your children's children. So you may become a grandparent during this period of time, or one of your grandchildren may be going through some sort of um, big change in their life. There could be a big chapter that's coming to a close for them. So ultimately, this eclipse is trining you. Okay, so there is something beneficial about the eclipse, which is allowing you to um, let go of something that no longer serves you, or to understand something from potentially a spiritual point of view or a higher perspective. And this can help you to make peace with certain situations in your life, especially if it's connected to your vision for the future. Now, from the 21st of April through till the 14th of May, Mercury will be retrograde in Taurus in your third house, from 15 degrees going back to 5 degrees. So you may be returning to a former work project, maybe getting back in touch with friends who you used to be in communication with. You may hear from old clients or co-workers. You may be editing a communications piece or finishing a writing or communications piece. You may resit a test or an exam, or be renewing your license. You could be renewing your passport. If you're traveling, check your passport, because you may kind of forget that it needs renewing. And you may need to repair or service your one of your vehicles. And just know that meetings and deadlines can sort of shift, and you may miss them, or a meeting just may be pushed back. So just be mindful that you're checking any appointments that you have in your calendar. Now, for the exciting part, Jupiter is going to be changing signs, and Jupiter is your ruling planet. So whenever it changes signs, this represents you and what you were doing as Pisceans. So Jupiter is going to transit your third house. This can see you learning a lot in a short space or period of time. So Jupiter will be in Taurus in your third house from the 16th of May through till the end of May 2024. So it's a 12-month transit, and this only happens once every 12 years. So Jupiter rules over higher learning and education, and it's in the third house, which is also one of the houses associated with learning. So you could be taking lots of courses. You could become an educator or a trainer. So you may be the one who is teaching, especially if you are teaching online, or if you are teaching small groups of people and small teams. You may be taking up an apprenticeship, or you may be taking on apprentices. The third house is really about honing your practical skills, or let's say your talents, but in a practical way. So it's like developing your skill set. So maybe like learning to draw or learning a trade. Now, for others of you, you could be learning how to, you could be learning about commerce and sales and marketing and how to run a business, or start your own business. You could be learning about web design. You could be starting your own. You could be developing your own website. You could start a new communications piece or a new social media channel. You maybe will start writing a book. This is so positive for anyone who's a journalist, or who writes for a living, or who runs their own business, or who works in sales or commerce or marketing, and of course, social media. This is about self made worth and legacy. So, your ruling planet going through the third house just indicates that you can really expand upon your knowledge when it comes to how to run a business successfully. The third house is also associated with technology and transportation, maps of all kinds, and short term travel. So you could be getting learning how to I don't know, ride a motorbike, drive a car. You may get like a boating license. It's about licenses, diplomas, and qualifications. So there could be new qualifications coming through, and this could benefit your career because Jupiter rules over your 10th house. Now, your day-to-day work life in terms of like meetings, emails, communicating with people, messaging, you're just going to be so busy while Jupiter is in your third house. So that's really going to skyrocket. And there may be lots of short travel trips that you need to go on during this period of time. So lots of commuting. On the downside, your commuting time may increase, especially if you're changing jobs and now you need to work further away from home. Um, of course, if you work in sales, this is like a huge increase in sales. And the third house represents friends and co-workers and clients. So this is like tons more friends, heaps more clients. And you can just be forming a new friendship group. Maybe you'll have an opportunity to travel with friends. Jupiter through the third house is a really positive transit for you guys because it's going to sextile you, which is a beneficial transit. So you can also receive a lot of help from friends, or maybe your clients are helping you out. And also, this can indicate an opportunity to maybe go into business with friends as well. So, again, very, very positive for communications, social media, writing, reporting, journalism. And also, we're going to have a new moon in Taurus in your third house, and this is on the 19th of May at 28 degrees. So new moons equate to new chapters. So again, maybe this is a new education course, maybe you're going to be teaching, maybe you'll be learning, could meet a new friend, you could start a new communications piece, maybe you'll write a book. Many Pisceans will be able to write books and complete education content and material during this 12-month transit. um, Lastly, on the 20th of May, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo in your sixth house, and it will be there for 7 weeks until the 10th of July. So, the sixth house is all about your work, health habits, routines, pets. The sixth house represents cleaning and just day to day admin tasks and kind of like the tedium and mundane stuff. So, with Mars in your sixth house, you may be having a increase in your workload. You may have to stay back with work. You may be working overtime to complete new projects. There may be new challenges at work, or you may be setting new goals. This can see you seeking out new work. So maybe you're working on your resume, maybe you're applying for new jobs. This could see you maybe hiring people, you may be expanding your business, and you may be just going through the interview process. It could be either side, but especially if you own your own business, maybe you're going through that process of hiring more people. This can see you maybe doing some research into getting a new pet. So maybe you're speaking to um, pet shelters or breeders, whatever it is, the sixth house rules over pets. I would just say to be mindful of your pets during this period of time. So you may want to take them to the vet just for a routine checkup. But also, this can see you being more proactive, especially if you have dogs. Maybe you're walking them more or just finding new ways to entertain them. Lastly, with the sixth house ruling over health, this can see you being more proactive about your health. So maybe you're working out more, maybe you will be investigating some sort of new health treatment or health plan. And in any case, Mars in the sixth house can see you having a lot of energy to tackle tasks that you normally would want to avoid. And so, Pisces and everyone who watched this live stream, thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, and I will see you guys in June.